What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out how did every survivor in Forsaken die. Hey, if you guys do end up enjoying this video, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and especially subscribe because we're trying to hit 40,000 subscribers. Learn some more Forsaken lore.
Crazy on Roblox.
Yo,
You're talking crazy on the Roski. I get it. I was once a
the Roski. Are we better? Hey, let's make this become a thing, bro. The Roski.
teen.
The Roski.
Heavily involved in Roblox activities.
And I've been itching for a lore video. Instead, we got
Okay.
this bullshit. Man, I don't care about the codes. I want to know about this guy.
You know what? That's actually valid. That's actually valid. You know, like at this point we all know the mysteries. Let's get to know these people, bro.
One thing that stands out
Come
in the
on.
story is how each character in Forsaken got there. It's really important to know that Forsaken is basically hell, and everyone in this game is one way or another currently just dead or missing. This is a little similar to the non-Roblox counterpart Dead by Daylight, where some characters are dragged in one way or another from the real world into the realm. And when I saw that Forsaken game theory video in my recommended, I was like, yo, this is crazy. We got the professionals on this.
We got the professionals.
Really gonna get
Yeah. That was cool. That was cool. But
we're gonna get all the answers. Then they just started talking about Greek gods. I'm like, damn, what a snooze fest.
yo, Forsaken just got a lot going on, don't it, bro?
To be honest with
It's
you,
just-
I
it
care
has a lot
very
going on.
little about this, all this story. I got a feeling the devs don't really care about it either, considering the reputation of the guy who wrote it. So I'm introducing my whole new canon. We're just gonna see how it goes. So as I was saying, in Forsaken, it's been implied time and time again that every character in the game is existing in a specific kind of afterlife, meaning that everyone here is dead in the Roblox world. Very
That's
plain
crazy.
cut by
That's
itself,
crazy.
But how can we go deeper? Already, there's a select amount of characters that we know died from a certain cause. That's Guest, Chance, and 007 and 7. We know Guest's entire backstory and from the Oblivious Age.
Well, don't we know Noob? Don't we for sure know Noob died as well? Didn't he specifically die to Guest 666? Or am I tripping?
Movie The Last Guest, where Guest is killed in a war. In the Forsaken universe, he doesn't miraculously survive like in the movie, and that's really all I gotta say about Guest. I can't say.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that. I think isn't that a meme? So that's that. Okay.
Miraculously survive like in the movie, and that's really.
So
all I gotta
basically,
say
instead
about
of him
Guest.
surviving, he just dies.
Can't say anything
He
else.
just dies.
If you're a Guest main watching this, you can click off now. 007 and 7 is a bit
Guest
more
main, see ya,
complicated,
bro.
just because we don't know what's retconned yet. It's generally assumed that after he was stricken with grief from losing Cool Kid, he promptly took his own life. Then again, this was written by the pedophile. But so far in the story, there hasn't been much to implicate otherwise. Something you're gonna notice is I'm going off of a lot of breadcrumbs. There is not that much lore available right now for Forsaken. Chance is also kind of complicated because there's two kinds of canon, but either option works to explain Chance's death. One where Chance is killed by one of his friends, iTrap, and after attempting
I literally
failing
just
to kill
learned about
Chance
this
via a Russian roulette game, he eventually took matters into his own hands and killed Chance with a dark heart. This is actually the incident that supplied us with the evidence that every character in Forsaken died in a past life. The other, more modern option is where Chance is killed by the mob, namely the Sonolino family. Chance was good friends with the Mafia and often frequented their casino. However, after winning a rigged game and stealing the prize, his relationship with the family soured, leaving him in debt.
I like that take on it, you know, not just going with the eye trapped one. Even though I just learned about that, like I like the, you know, the mafioso, twist to it. I like that.
And on the run, now being hunted by mafioso. Chance
That's cool.
being miraculously whacked by the mafia doesn't satisfy me, however.
Oh.
When Don Sonolino kills Chance, he says,
"Thought you could run after what you stole from us?"
we know that Forsaken exists in an alternate reality separate from the real world. It's also important to note that Don Sonolino is also most likely somehow Forsaken, because he makes comments that imply that he's not native to the realm, but like the other killers is somewhat brainwashed into killing people. He says things like,
"This place is ridiculous. Who designed this place?"
the point I'm getting at is that the fact Don
Interesting.
Sonolino only says, "Thought you could run after what you stole from us," means that this is the first time he's catching and killing Chance. If Mafioso was somehow related to Chance's death,
good eye, bro.
I'm sure he would say something else that wouldn't make it sound like this is their first interaction. For this reason, I think it's
he did a classic. Got you again. got you again. I don't know.
Story is still canon to Chance. The Mafia never caught Chance, at least as far as we know. It does say on the wiki that this part is kind of outdated, but you know, one can only hope. Two-time, I'm gonna get this one out of the way quick. I got nothing. I have no clue. We know they killed their partner Azure to achieve a second life, and we also know that their spawn cult is a hoax, so they didn't actually get one. It would be easy to say that Azure killed them, but based on what? Azure never got revived, they just died and didn't come back, and the version of them in Forsaken is just some kind of manifestation. There is kind of a semi-answer to this in the skin Nightshade. In the story, Azure's favorite flowers are nightshades, which are the flowers seen growing on Two-time in this skin. Deadly nightshades are highly poisonous. This causes Two-time to die, and it's possible that this was the state Two-time was in before being Forsaken.
That's a lame death though. Flowers? Come on, bro.
We know this is related to the lore because this skin isn't just one you can buy off the shop. You need to reach level 100.
Oh, that's the level 100 skin?
To achieve it. It's still not
okay. Well, that honestly does make it a little more believable, it being a milestone.
If this is the true story.
That could, yeah, that could actually.
Prior to being Forsaken,
that could be something
Taff
there.
was a demolitionist vigilante who served the Roblox admins.
Okay, it's time because Taff, I feel like Taff is the character actually Deucecar. Deucecar is the character I absolutely know the least about, so I'm interested in that.
Me, I don't know why I said vigilante. This is going to become important later. At one point, demolitionists like themselves began to be hunted down by citizens of Robloxia after admins had been banning people unfairly. Something that'll especially be relevant later. It's unknown if Taff was caught and killed by these people hunting demolitionists or simply starved to death within hiding. Either option seems viable. That's all there is to say about Taff, but the next few characters do get very complicated.
What?
Was caught and killed by these people hunting demolitionists. Something that'll especially be relevant later. It's unknown if Taff was caught and killed by these people hunting demolitionists or simply starved to death within hiding. Either option seems viable. That's all.
That's actually tragic.
That's
actually tragic.
Get very complicated.
Okay, cool. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for.
Noob and Elliot. The key to solving their death relates to another killer in the game, Cool Kid, the manic adoptive son of 007 and 7. There's a chance that Cool Kid has a voice line that will play after killing a noob. To describe Noob as a favorite playmate would imply that Cool Kid at the very least is familiar with Noob. There's a chance that this voice line isn't meant to imply anything about their past lives and that they've actually never met before being Forsaken. But as far as I know, this quote only plays when Cool Kid kills Noob. It could be that the reason
then it has to mean something, right?
Is because throughout every trial in the Forsaken realm, Cool Kid has a canonical thing for killing Noob specifically, and because of that, Noob is Cool Kid's favorite playmate in every round.
That is crazy.
Substantial evidence that they have met before Forsaken.
That's crazy.
We know Noob is, as described from their character description, a big snack person at heart. It only makes sense for them to be a frequent customer at the pizza place.
Okay.
It only makes sense that for Cool Kid to recognize Noob and even call them his favorite playmate, Noob had to have been there for the destruction of the pizza place and is likely the Noob in this render. In a scrapped render for 007 and 7's milestones, we see Cool Kid with a sword
just absolutely cooking Noob.
Noob dies? Well, that was the case up until a while ago. See, very recently the game was updated to where if you achieve milestone 2 on Noob, you could visit the shore outside the lobby and discover a photo of Noob with their friends. This was taken after Noob had dissolved their friendship with Guest 666. We know that because Noob speaks.
Oh yeah, I was completely I mean, I feel like there could still be a connection between them, but maybe Cool Kid didn't kill Noob. I mean, there got to be something there if that only plays for them, but, you know, maybe the devs just didn't put that much. You know, there's always that chance. Like, maybe the devs just didn't really put any thought into it.
Speaks of Guest in past tense, almost like it's addressed to them, meaning they're no longer in the picture. This is a very common theme relating to their relationship, as we know they aren't friends anymore after an action that Guest and Noob both committed. In the message on the photo, we learned that Noob
still don't know what they committed though.
To visit a haunted mansion. By viewing the account named I Must Be the Reason Why on the Roblox website, we can visit the haunted mansion Noob goes to, and we play the game from their perspective, where we find out their friends that were in the photo with them are now gone. They abandoned them. As they wander through the building, they discover terrible.
Noob
says looks
they did
like
Noob so dirty, bro.
The leading theory about this was that this was the Spectre killing Noob in the mansion. But I want to go a step further. We know that Guest and Noob were no longer friends at this point in the story, but they kept contact somewhat. Noob, at the very least, wrote with Guest in mind in every note they share. Is it possible that Guest was somehow receiving these letters, and that Guest had prior knowledge that Noob would be at this mansion? We know Guest, at this point in the story, does not look like themselves. In their transformation, they're a massive beast. And how does Noob...
So you basically... Okay, so at this point, Guest was already the beast? Okay, then I guess it couldn't be guess there. But also, at the same time, I'm gonna add some theory to this, man. Hey, listen, at the same time, this could be what Noob is perceiving things as. This could be all in Noob's mind. Think about it. Think about it. So maybe that was the guest beast at the house, right? But in Noob's mind, they still saw their friend in their somewhat normal form, minus the face. I don't know. Maybe I'm yapping.
Transformation, they're a massive beast. And how does Noob describe the figure in the mansion? Someone who looks like Guest, but also doesn't look like Guest. This is further supported by the Wikipedia, where on the lore tab for Noob, it says that if Noob ever saw the true form of Guest now, they wouldn't be able to believe that that's really them. Perfect connection to what Noob says in the mansion. This wasn't the Spectre coming to take Noob into Forsaken. This was Guest coming back to kill Noob. For what reason, we don't know. But I personally just don't believe that that was the Spectre there. So, is Cool Kid innocent? Not really. No, of course not. Cool Kid is responsible for more than a few deaths. In the Work at a Pizza Place map, on the list of
I like that twist on it though.
Basically a kill count. Jordan and Sally, who were characters in Work at a Pizza Place and ran the dump, appear in the game as skins for Elliot, but they have unique voice lines. They recognize Elliot and recognize other people in the game, and it's clear this isn't Elliot wearing a costume. These are the real characters in Forsaken. So we can assume that these two characters were killed by Cool Kid. So that accounts for 2 of the 4 deaths that are marked on the wall. So who are the other 2? If you go to the dump in the game, there's a picture on the table. One of Elliot and his father and his sister. Minus Elliot, that's 2 other people. Could they also be dead? It's really hard to say because I would imagine they would appear in Forsaken in some capacity. After all,
well, I mean,
Jordan and Sally,
not every character that dies goes into Forsaken.
Be in the game as well. I've been analyzing this map for a while, and I just can't find a way to account for the 4 dead people on this wall. Strangely, it's shown that Cool Kid also shows himself on this wall for some reason.
Bro was just writing up some art, bro. That's crazy.
The tally of dead people. And similarly, on the Employee of the Month portrait, we see Cool Kid's drawing again, but right behind it, you're just barely able to make out Elliot's uniform. You can even see Elliot's portrait X'd out with Cool Kid's drawing overlaying.
That's so messed up.
Somehow related to
That's so
Kid's
messed
drawing
up
on the wall. If we keep this information in mind when we
Jordan, Sally, unknown. Is Jordan and Sally the father and sister? I never knew their names.
That would account for 5 bodies, 2 of them being Jordan and Sally, and as for the other 3, well, I think you can see where I'm trying to get at. Already we see an idea of Cool Kid's destructive capabilities. At this point, Cool Kid is doing this intentionally. From his milestone renders, we know that he believes that Robloxia is his to conquer. In his milestone gameplay, he has a quote for killing Elliot.
You're nobody special. You'll burn alive just like the rest of
Jeez, Cool Kid really thinks he's that guy.
When he says this to Elliot, he says them as if other people that Elliot would know. At the very least, a group of people. We know at this point Cool Kid has killed a lot of people, but if we get more cerebral, I think this is referring to the people on that wall. And as we already confirmed, Elliot was among those people.
Sheesh.
So Elliot is killed by Cool Kid. And if there was any doubts, in a scrapped milestone 4 render for 007 and 7, he is seen running away from a dark alley as Cool Kid is seen strangling Elliot in the shadow.
That is tragic.
And the developers wanted us to notice this.
Yeah.
That brings us to the next batch of characters.
I think Elliot and Noob are like the most confirmed deaths that like we know the closest of. You know what I mean?
There's the admins. The ones we're examining are Shedletsky, Builderman, Dusakar, and
I'm interested in how Builderman died.
Doombringer. I want to say first and foremost that the admin and the upcoming killer, Mr. Doombringer.
Is Doombringer confirmed?
I want to say first and foremost that the admins, Shedletsky, Dusakar, and in the near future Doombringer, had their various ups and downs in their friendships, so much so that I personally doubt that any of them, apart from Shedletsky and Dusakar, are even actually friends. That may sound like a stretch considering how little we really know about these characters, because we don't have
I didn't even know Dusakar was a dev.
Hints we get that give us a look into their canon personalities. The Forsaken developers are pretty straightforward when it comes to lore, if you can believe it, so there's a good chance these crumbs can steer us in the right direction. Let's look at what we know. In the lore, Shedletsky and Builderman have a personal pact with each other to protect the other survivors. Strangely, their colleague Dusakar is left out of this, and it's not mentioned why. Whatever the case may be, Shedletsky still refers to Dusakar by their first name, Matt, and although Builderman is friendly towards Dusakar with nicknames, it's clear there's a mutual bond between Shedletsky and Dusakar.
It is funny though that like Shaletsky's like goal is to help the other survivors when like in game, let's be real, Shaletsky mains, including myself, we do anything but that. We do anything but that. Builder man, I believe it. Builder man, okay, cool. But
Dusakar as well. So we know
let's keep it a
Builderman and
bean.
Dusakar aren't really friends, but Shedletsky is friends with both Builderman and Dusakar. You can imagine Shedletsky as a knot tying the admins together and keeping their bonds from strictly being business. In all of the artwork for the game, we see Shedletsky
I've had situations like that.
outgoing all the time. Meanwhile, Builderman and Dusakar have a more neutral face. I like to imagine that there's a wedge between them in this scenario. Without Shedletsky, the admins don't really like each other as much as their partnership would imply. Already this is a stretch, but I wonder why that is. For starters, I think it's very possible that each of the admins are collectively hiding things from each other. Look no further than Shedletsky himself, who was already hiding his connection to 1x1 from everyone already.
Okay, I didn't know they didn't know.
Like Shedletsky is hiding a big secret out of fear from being outcasted by his peers.
That's
what
true.
What can I say about the admins dynamic? I mean, neither Dusakar or Builderman know about this connection that 1x has to Shedletsky, so
we were looking for the survivor, son.
Trust them that much. With that in mind, let's move on to Doombringer. We know Doombringer is a killer in the next update, and in the lore we learned that he regards himself as the only stable admin.
When did this video come out? 1 month ago. Bro was just spreading misinformation. Or was this really a rumor? I feel like a month ago. If this video came out a month ago, I feel like I would have heard about this.
Among his peers and views everyone else as corrupt, further reinforcing the belief that
I thought it was already known that Guest 666 was
Builderman
next.
is a focal point when it comes to Doombringer. Even though Shedletsky appears in photos alongside the two, it's clear that Builderman's focus is Doombringer and vice versa. I believe Doombringer is the one who killed Builderman. Let me elaborate as to why. We know that in the later stages of the admins' relationship, citizens of Robloxia were beginning to turn on the admins for false banning. We know this from Taff's lore. Doombringer's known cruelty and unjust judgment is likely what caused the citizens of Robloxia to begin protesting. So we know Doombringer is responsible for the uprising and protests, those protests that inadvertently got Taff killed. This more than likely caused a massive discourse in Roblox's inner circle of admins, and we know that Doombringer wasn't the kind of person to back down. When Builderman tried to right the ship, Doombringer saw this and had no intention of letting anyone get in his way. But what about Dusakar and Shedletsky? Couldn't they have helped? Well, it's possible if it weren't for the fact that at this point, Dusakar and Shedletsky are already dead. I'd say Doombringer could have easily killed Shedletsky the same way he does with Builderman. After all, we see both Builderman and Shedletsky in prison surrounding Doombringer in this render. Safe to say, Shedletsky doesn't win that fight. So
jeez, bro, Doombringer, I mean, it's in his name. He's literally the Doombringer, but wow, hey, I like the way, but boy, I see the storytelling here, bro. He hit the little, that wouldn't matter if they weren't both already dead.
Does Doombringer
like,
also kill Shedletsky? No. In fact, Doombringer and Shedletsky never fought each other because of one reason. Shedletsky has been dead for a long time, and the one who killed him was right in front of you the entire time.
Chicken Shedletsky. Himself? 1x. Oh, snap. Da-da-da, da-da-da, dun-dun-dun, da-da-da, da-da-da.
This animation is so interesting to me, and I hardly talk about
it's
it.
literally
Every single killer outro features either no survivors or multiple in the cutscene, but 1x1 just kills Shedletsky.
Just kills
in
him.
both animations, the focal point is just Shedletsky.
That's crazy,
no one else.
actually.
It's clear to me at the very least that this is how Shedletsky dies. And as we know from Shedletsky's personality, his death does not go over well with the admins. I think in the correct timeline, Shedletsky dies fighting 1x1 very early on, and in his absence, the admins' relationship.
And I feel like that is even more proven now by the new animation where when you kill Shedletsky, they have a little duel and then shink, Shedletsky's gone. That, hey, my boy was ahead of the wave, low key. Hold on, bro, because no, that's a really good theory. Actually, thinking about it now.
To fall apart. Having this happen likely causes everyone to have to cope in their own ways. Doombringer, being as unstable as he is, probably grieves Shedletsky more dramatically, thinking 1x1 could have been prevented if more people were aware and if Shedletsky didn't keep it a secret. This could very well be the tipping point that led Doombringer to believe that the admins weren't as credible as they say they were. At this point, Doombringer is riddled with the grief of the loss of a friend and anger over how it could have been preventable. Anger that turns into downright rage over how the admins did nothing. This causes Doombringer to begin his reign of terror.
The relationship falls apart, protest starts. My boy got the timeline down.
Taff killed. This is a very big if, by the way, so just trust me, okay? I think that's when Builderman has to step in and attempt to keep the peace. and the situation goes as we would expect. But what about Dusakar? Something I came across earlier while writing this video was a big plot hole in my theory.
Okay.
If 1x1 gets killed by Shedletsky and Builderman gets killed by Doombringer, what happens to Dusakar?
Good question.
In my original theory, I figured that Doombringer and Dusakar fought after the death of Builderman, and as we know from the information regarding Dusakar's power level before Forsaken, that fight really doesn't feather out well for Doombringer. And in my original theory, I had no clue how Dusakar could have been Forsaken. I was gonna go as far as to say that
Oh, so Dusakar is him. I didn't know that. Dusakar said, he was like, yeah, that does not fare well for Doombringer. What?
Dusakar had never died and was the only character manually added to Forsaken. But that didn't really satisfy me, so I dug deeper again, and what I found was pretty interesting. In Dusakar's milestone skins, which I completely forgot they had, by the way, I noticed that in Milestone 2 and beyond, Dusakar had actually turned out to have been there when Shedletsky was killed. And it even goes deeper than that. Dusakar's milestone skins end up telling us a lot more than we could expect. It tells us the entire story of Shedletsky's death and confirms Telemon's existence. Proving that Telemon, the eldritch god connected to Shedletsky, was canon to Forsaken was really important to me, as I think that's how 1x1 was created. We know that Shedletsky transferred all his hatred and negative energy into 1x1, and with this information I'm led to believe that Shedletsky gave up his role as Telemon by abandoning those traits, essentially splitting that part off of him and locking it away. But as we see in these milestone skins, Shedletsky returns for his powers. But we return to a place, the place that will restore you to a former glory. Glory being Telemon. Dusakar and Shedletsky return to the site of Sword Fight on the Heights, presumably to resurrect Telemon, but they are ambushed, and what occurred hit us steadfast. Afterwards, I was doomed and fated to meet the end of my story. The last milestone shows Dusakar harnessing the power of the Spawn to resurrect Shedletsky once and for all, at the cost of their own life in return. But in the end, both of them are dead. And
that's a friend, though.
It wasn't just Shedletsky.
That's a real friend right there, bro. At the end of the day.
Dies in this scene. It's also Dusakar.
Even regardless that they both died, bro, Dusakar, got my respect.
Shedletsky is seen dying in the Ring of Fire, which coincides with Dusakar's Milestone 3, where he can be seen watching from the bridge above. If you know the layout of Sword Fight on the Heights, you would know there's a bridge right above the Ring of Fire. Dusakar is in this cutscene, just off screen, watching the moment where 1x1 slaughters his best friend. Later, in Milestone 4, Dusakar is seen performing the spell in the Ring of Fire. Exactly where Shedletsky was killed. And this is where Dusakar dies as well. Meaning Doombringer and Builderman were the last admins remaining. Builderman, despite his flaws and subtly cruel nature that has been hinted at before, truly did want the best for Roblox. In a way, Doombringer represented a more darker version of himself. An enforcer that saw the world the same way he did. Or so he thought. Shedletsky and Dusakar were more of like his backup. His first employees that would have easily overpowered Doombringer if it ever came down to it. And someone he trusted just as deeply. But as we saw before, everyone keeps secrets.
Everyone keeps secrets.
The invisible leash Builderman kept around his monster had been snapped, and everything else was bound to happen. But that's about all I got for this theory video. I know this isn't my usual type of content, but
hey, I like it though, bro. Honestly, I don't know if every single killer's business is out there. How every single killer got Forsaken. Might need a video on that. I feel like that is more known though. Like Cool Kid, we know how Cool Kid got Forsaken, right? Actually, yeah, we need a video on that, bro, because we need the lore fresh on my mind again, bro. So, hey, if y'all did enjoy this video, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and check out the homie Q Rico. Shout out. W video, appreciate you. Love you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.